Wow, it's hard to believe. Again, we're here doing another Bible study, and you already know that these Bible studies are a little different because we are using people who have applied the Word of God. And man, tonight we've got Sister Tausha with us tonight. Hey, Tausha, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
All right. Please tell us your name.
Well, my name is Tausha Dorsey, and of course, I'm a member of Juniper Level Missionary Baptist Church.
All right.
And I'm just glad to be here and be able to share with you, how I apply the Word.
Okay.
On my daily, at my job. So one of the things I like to do, because I'm a counselor for students at Strayer University.
Okay. We're going to get a shout out for Strayer.
Yes, give a shout out to Strayer University.
Absolutely.
We're doing great things with them, right?
Absolutely.
Great partnership. So God has blessed me with this role, so I'm able to go out and find, deserving individuals who could benefit from a free scholarship. And we're talking about a full bachelor or master's degree scholarship. So God puts you in places, He's ordering my steps. So when I reach out to him and ask him what it is he wants me to do, and he said, if you just be obedient, I'm going to open up these doors for you, these windows for you. I'm going to have you doing something that you love to do. He said, I want you to utilize some things from my toolbox, So I went, after I left the mountaintop and came down, and he told me they're going to know you by your fruit. So don't worry about where all these things are coming from. So I use my integrity at work. I wake up and I look forward to going to work. Okay. I try to work on being there on time because, people are dependent on me.
Absolutely.
So I like to apply that not just there, but just in my everyday things. I'm doing a little bit more and a little bit better. Okay. Love. I use my love at work. I love on my students. There's communication. Okay. I communicate with them all day long, sometimes to 9 o'clock at night. In that communication, some might say, hey, you sound like a God-fearing woman. That opens up the door for me. Okay. There it is. Now I can tell you what my pastor said. Right.
They brought it up.
They brought it up.
Got it.
So, and you're not supposed to, they tell you, you're not supposed to bring up religion or different things. But if a student brings it up, you just open the gate for me.
It's fair game.
Mm-hmm. And from that point, it becomes, hey, can I talk to you about some other things that's going on with me? Right. Or can I tell you about how good God is? Right. And right there, it just automatically kicks in. And I take what I've learned from you and from the Word, and how to use this instruction at work. Wow. So I love to apply that. That's one of my biggest things. And then I guess ultimately it's more of the fruit. I feel good about what I did that whole day, that I got a message to someone. I was able to maybe bless somebody, give them hope because they have lost it. They don't know how they're doing this classroom, but there's always an underlying reason why they're struggling with this. Absolutely. It could be a sickness at home, a loved one with cancer, and they're trying to help that loved one, a baby, a death in the family. Right. So I'm able to use my grief counseling skills. Got it. Just applying the Word and sharing the gospel with others. And that brings them joy, which brings me joy, which I know brings God joy.
Wow. So now, have you always been this way? Because that's, to me, we see the Tausha now, but is this the Tausha that, and I always give people a chance if they want to give a shout out to their high school.
I think if the people, shout out to Garner Senior High School, the Mighty Trojans. Okay. I think my friends who've known me growing up will say I've always been the same way. Always been the same way. Maybe not as voiceful about God. Right. During those times, we only did God at church. Right. Or at home. Right. But just not in school.
So, but you are originally from this area. You're originally from Raleigh.
The Raleigh-Garner area, yep.
Wow. It's hard to find people now that are actually from Raleigh-Garner. Mm-hmm. So, you graduate from high school. Yes. Garner Senior. What happens? What do you do next?
So I get married and I have children early, like at 19 years old. 19, I knew that I wasn't going off to college because I had a younger sibling, so I had to stay back. Okay. So I had to figure out my way, and I was like, God, what is it? What can I possibly do? He was like, well, you've been doing everybody's hair since middle school, so I went to cosmetology school and worked in salons for about 6-7 years, and I realized
how was that?
It was a lot on my feet when the children kept coming.
Right.
So.
And how many kids do you have?
3.
Wow.
3 children.
3 early on.
Early, at 19, my first son. 19 years old. 2 years later, my daughter, and then 6 years later, one more. All by 30, I had all 3 and was working already in my field.
So how difficult was that? Because that may be someone that is watching who's gotten pregnant and married at 19 or 20 and then trying to raise kids in their 20s. How difficult was that? And what did that look like?
I've actually been asked this before because my nieces and nephews, my family members have always just been like, how do you do it?
Right.
You know, you had 3 so early and they got 1 at 30 and don't know what to do. But
right.
Honestly, just prayer and trusting. I stayed in church. I kept my kids in church, and doors and windows open. People came to me and helped me, but I always helped so many other people. I love children.
Okay.
I believed in family and being a good wife, a good mother.
Okay.
So I already had a foundation.
Okay.
And I stuck to it. I knew about it since I was very little.
So this is my path.
This was it. This is my path. No matter how the roller coaster goes, I knew this is my marriage, this is my children, and I have a role to play. Okay.
So then life happens. So now you 30.
Yes.
What happens in this 30 world?
30 world, wow. Still working, still balancing the kids. I still lean heavily.
Are you still married at that time?
At 30, no. We're divorcing at 30.
Oh, wow. You're divorcing?
We're actually divorcing at 30.
How was that?
It was okay for me. It wasn't it wasn't one of those drag out divorces. I think I don't think my husband at the time was at a level of chaos. Okay. You know, just kind of a quiet side. So
this is what we need to do.
Yeah,
this is what we're gonna do.
I could say that and it would be like, okay, you know, I was like, you know, this is what I went to the mountaintop and I asked, and this is what needs to happen. Okay. And I felt peace. Okay. Gave him peace, and we were able to go our separate ways. I didn't feel like I got 3 kids. How am I gonna do this on my own? There was no going to court every month, trying to track anybody down, trying to get child support and different things like that. That is not the path he wanted for me.
This is where we are. I'm going to do whatever I need to do.
I'm going to do whatever I need to do.
So then now you're in your 30s, you're raising your kids. Mm-hmm. What does that look like? Because I think you said cosmetology for about 6 or 7 years. I did. Now you change it up and doing something different.
Absolutely. So
what was different?
What was different was I looked at benefits. There were no health benefits for cosmetologists. Okay. You just paid cash. You just went into the hospital and paid cash. And I had these kids, and I knew my kids need benefits. Got it. So I switched gears and went into the healthcare industry. Okay. And went to medical assistant training and started working in clinical research. So I did that for about 20 years, almost 20 years. That? At the beginning, it was exciting. There was no position I actually applied for that was not already brought to me. When I tell you he orchestrated every role, position, where people would come to me and simply say, because you know this, and I've seen you do this, I think that this would be a better position for you. Right. And I stepped every time, and I got to a point where my integrity, my morals, all of those things.
Doors open for you.
They were opening.
Okay.
Until I shut them or until God shut them. Because when I can't sleep at night, because I'm no longer doing what he said, or I can't sleep at night because I'm doing something that's morally wrong. Right. But it's the job, you know, it comes with the job. I can't do it. If I can't sleep at night, I can't do it. So he moved me. He said, you know what? It's going to be all right.
He keeps shifting you.
He kept shifting me. Okay. And he shifted me to Strayer University. I was like, I don't know education. That's not me. Right. And he was like, just try this. And I'm telling you, everything I prayed for, God, give me a job where I can bless other people. I can sleep at night. I can wake up knowing I'm helping somebody every day.
And at Juniper, I want to give a shout out. Thank you, because we're over 20 plus. That has benefited from these free scholarships. Yes. And they are all in school and doing great.
Yes, they are.
And the thing about Strayer we want to say is that the support from the teachers, faculty, staff, and all of those. So now you're in your 40s.
Yes,
What was the 40s like? And of course, I know that you had a major event that
I
happened.
did. I did.
What was that? Can I talk about that
You
for
sure
a moment?
can? Hmm.
So early in the 40s or late in the 30s,
Okay.
you had a major event.
It was 40s.
It was the 40s.
Yes, it was in my 40s. Actually 10 years ago now.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yep.
10 years ago, like on a weekend.
Actually, it happened on a Tuesday.
Tuesday.
It was a Tuesday,
Absolutely.
August 6th, 2013.
August 6, 2013.
I think you had just came
I
recently.
I came to Juniper in March of 2013. I hadn't
Yeah.
been here 3-4 months.
That's
yet.
right. Yeah, so what happened at the time, my son was actually trying to help another young man who had been incarcerated and get out. And so he thought he could help him get his life on track and not go back down the same road. So what ended up happening was this young man brought a gun to my house and it went off and killed my son.
Right.
So
And I think at that time you wasn't even at home.
I wasn't. I was
Because if I
at
remember,
hospital.
you were, I don't know where you were, out of town or.
At UNC Hospital with my stepdaughter.
Absolutely.
She was supposed to be having surgery next morning. So
Absolutely.
news comes on and we see our home on the news and the yellow tape, and all of a sudden people are calling us, and social media is like I didn't even know what was really going on.
Right.
But only to find on a 30-minute drive home that it was my son that was killed.
And I think they waited till you got to the house.
All the way to the house.
Because I remember, I think I was there and could not, just could not believe that. So I remember that like it was yesterday. I'm quite sure you do. How was that?
When I first not found out but realized that he was gone, it was a motherly, maternal loss. I've talked to other mothers and they felt the same thing. So I knew at the hospital before I even got upstairs to see this on the television that something
Was missing.
tragic had just happened. And as I did a head count to myself for my children, I realized who's not with me here at the hospital, and he was the only one not with me. So I just knew at that moment that something bad had happened to him. So driving home, like I said, and getting there, they whisked me away quickly. So I saw everybody.
Right.
My church members, my family. I saw friends. I saw neighbors. It was so many people, but they wouldn't let me stay. They quickly whisked me away and took me to the police station. And still, maybe 2 hours later, they finally came and told me what had happened.
Wow. I remember early on in that scenario, you were real quick about saying, I forgive him.
I did.
I remember at the homegoing service, if I'm not mistaken, you got up.
I did, and I let them come up.
And you let them come up. And you, at that moment, at that time, said, look, I forgive you.
I did.
What was that like? When I think about really talking about applying the word. I mean, if we really want to be serious about applying the word,
That's right.
Here it is. Though this person wasn't an enemy of your son, your son is trying to help them. And all of a sudden now,
It
gun
needed to
goes
be
off.
done. It needed to be said. My son's death, to his friends locally and to people, it brought out a lot of anger.
Right.
A lot of people wanted revenge.
Right.
I saw his family was about to be probably just harassed, and a lot of people would have been hurt in the process. So I felt like it was no better time to try to put a stop to this than at his funeral, because it was so many of them there. And there would be no other time for me to have an audience like that God could use me to say, Tasha, you have the power to put a stop to what's about to happen.
Right.
So
Because
at
your
that
son
moment,
was loved by so many and
Yeah,
things like that. And then, I mean, the venue had to be a space that could even hold. And I think even at that point,
We were
could not
over.
hold all the people that were there.
could not.
But your courage of standing up, okay, but then that gets you there.
Yeah.
And I've been told by so many that you're numb that week of anyway.
Yeah.
Now the calls have stopped. The cards have stopped. Everybody stopped visiting. What does that look like?
For me, when it all stopped, it was like a numb period. I was kind of glad that the excitement of everybody, because I had to be there for everybody.
Right.
It became a being there for his friends, for my family, for my children.
Right.
And I completely left myself out of the being there for somebody, and I just kicked into my counseling mode and just taking care of other people and just showing them an example that I'm okay. I'm okay, and God has me. I thanked him immediately in that hospital. And I think that helped me heal, like be able to hold myself up, because I was just like, I really just gave him back to you, just like you said,
Right.
That these are
children
my
are a
children.
gift from God.
Yeah.
And you go from there. Now, after all of that, were there down days? Were there days that really it's reality has set in?
Yes, when it got quiet, when everybody was at school and normal lives began, it was some bad days when I was by myself.
What did you do? How did you get through that?
Sleeping, or crying until I go to sleep, but would quickly get myself together before someone else comes around. So I always had a time limit on my grieving. My grieving was like, hurry up before the kids get home, or before my mom comes over, or before someone say, are you okay? Are you okay? So I had to always be okay to someone else.
And of course, my inside joke. Can I tell you my inside?
Sure.
Can I share my inside joke? My inside joke has always been you. I never knew the Tausha pre the event, pre the August event. And I keep saying that our joke with each other is, she's coming out, I'm going to see her, but it's going to be the better.
It's going to be the better, the 2.0.
The 2.0 Tausha.
Yeah.
That's before then. How much, if someone was listening in tonight and they see you 10 years later, this is a Tausha now that has gone through a lot. Kids have had to go through a lot because the loss of he was the oldest.
He was the oldest.
So both for the kids, it affects everybody. It affects the whole family.
He was their everything. He was the father figure. He was their big brother. He was the one who took them everywhere. He was just always there.
He was that guy.
He was that guy for everybody, for the whole neighborhood, the family.
Got it.
Yep.
10 years later, looking through all of it.
Yeah.
What could you say to somebody today that maybe this has just been recent? Because if we're real honest, probably when that happened 10 years ago, that was not our norm.
No.
To see a
He was 21.
21-year-old, that was not a norm. Unfortunately, much younger now, that's a norm now.
Yes.
So if a parent is listening, siblings are listening, what advice would you give them today?
That it's okay to cry. That they would need to be hugged. I say this many times in counseling. We get PhD counselors and therapists when I feel like the first thing I expect when I walk in a counselor is for someone to give me a hug.
Okay.
Because I lost someone.
Right.
I don't want to talk about what you learned and no 5 steps of anything. I don't want to know the steps. I need a hug.
I need a hug.
So the first thing I would do was I would hug that parent, those siblings. I would let them know, I would pray for them right there, first off. And I would let them know that I'm here for them if they need to talk, but they have to talk to somebody. Right. It is so important because it could be a whole nother path for all the children or everybody involved if you don't talk about it.
Got to talk about it.
You got to talk about it.
Got to find somebody just to release.
Just to release.
It's almost like a pressure valve. It's there and it has a shut off switch, but it also have a release switch.
Yes.
So that you can get it out.
That's right. It's important.
Wow.
It is very important.
Wow. And do you ever, I don't think you ever forget.
No, you never forget.
It does get better?
It does. It gets easier and it does get better. It's hard, but it gets easier. I mean, that much I can tell someone, it will get easier. I would never tell someone, oh, you're in for a roller coaster or it will get easier. Just like we talk about time healing, time does heal.
Wow.
We can remember our loved ones. We can think about them and talk about them. And that's another thing. It needs to be talked about and never think that the person who lost someone just doesn't want to hear the name at all.
Right.
It's the not hearing the name.
Right.
It's the ignoring what happened.
Okay.
That's important, that you address someone who's lost someone and tell them, I am sorry for your loss. And how are you doing with your loss? You know what I mean? That's important here.
Because the person is gone.
Because the person is gone.
Let's not pretend. Let's be honest.
No, don't walk on eggshells around them.
Right.
Talk to them.
Talk to them. What other lessons do you think your foundation of being in church? Though you said you did church on Sundays.
Yes.
How did that help?
I felt like just staying in church and continuously hearing the word and being surrounded. It wasn't just the church family.
Right.
It's the feeling of being in the building. I mean, some people, we always say the church is not the building, it's in the people. Right. That building is important too.
Absolutely.
There's a spirit, there's a feeling when I walk through that door versus walking through my house or my job or anywhere. Yeah. It is a different feeling. I know it could be debatable, but being honestly, that's why we flock to the church also.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then sometimes the church brings back so many memories.
It does. But it feels warm, and it feels like he's rocking me in the cradle of his arms. And I can give him thanks because I'm so thankful for my child. I'm so thankful God gave me him. I can't feel jealous of any relationship my son had with anybody else because of the relationship he and I had. No one can take that from you when you lose a loved one. That relationship with you and that person it's nobody else could compare to it.
But it does get better.
It gets better.
Wow.
It gets better.
It gets better. So now, the new Tausha 2.0. What does that Tausha looks like in comparison to, I'm not going to call the Tausha 0.2 or whatever, I'll mess with those, but what is the difference?
She's still downloading.
Okay.
But I will say
so she's still downloading. She's not buffering, but
no, she's not buffering, but she's downloading. It's just a lot, to download because this one is wiser, more.
Because you're getting close to another number.
Like, what do you mean?
Well, that happened in the early 40s.
You know what? I'm already over.
Okay.
I'm over.
I know it, but...
So in my 50s, let's just say that. You just want to go ahead and say, all right, I am 51 years old, and I'm excited. I'm so excited. I've been so excited since last year. I've had things that transpired. My health is better. And
absolutely.
And now I feel like I can take on all those things, all those years that I could not take on.
So that's the 2.0 Tausha.
2.0 Tausha.
She's in the 50s now.
She's in her 50s.
I couldn't say that. I wouldn't dare not have.
Oh, it's all right. I love it. I actually love being in my 50s now. But yeah, I'm excited.
So you're living some of your best life.
Some of my best. And I mean, I've done some things and I've gone out of the country. I've traveled and stuff, but it never felt like this.
Wow.
I felt like, oh my gosh, I'm half my life years old.
Right.
I give me my senior citizen stuff. Like I'm excited.
Right,
I didn't know I could have done AARP long time ago.
Right.
I'm excited about this.
All of it.
I'm so excited about life and telling others about my life.
Right.
Gosh, just the younger people now, they calling me Miss Tausha. I'm just like, I have arrived.
So you've arrived now. Got it.
I have arrived, so I love it.
But you've lived and survived all of it.
I have, and now I can help others.
And I think that's important. Is that the reason why counseling is so big for you?
It is.
I know you talked about Estrella helping, and I know you talked about just being there to help someone, give them joy, give them a hug.
Yeah.
If they want to talk about God, you're willing to talk about God. But you also said it wasn't so much when you went into counsel, because I want to talk about that for a moment.
Okay.
It wasn't so much that you said I wanted a PhD. Didn't want to hear about those 5 steps, but I needed a hug first. Let's talk about something that may be something in our African American community we may not necessarily believe in, but you talked about it. Going to a counselor.
Yes,
What
that's
do you think?
important. I think it's important.
Okay.
I still think it's important. I think that we might need to change how the counseling side needs to change.
Right.
A little bit, but especially in our community.
Yeah.
a lot of times we're not as acceptable to other people
Right.
in our business,
Right.
or somebody trying to tell me how to feel or what to do. So
Right.
I feel that we might need to have counselors who know how to approach someone
Right.
from different cultures
Right.
and backgrounds. I mean, it just is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. It's needed. Here in the community, I would definitely change
So
that.
you would recommend someone today been through a lot, tragedies, trauma. You need to have somebody that can help unpack it.
You have to.
And it's not always just going to the pastor or
No.
or spiritual counseling team. You may need external counseling also.
That's correct. Beyond just like you say, pastoring, or sometimes you have to have more than that. You're going to have a real psychologist
Right.
or therapist,
Right.
depending on how deeply you fall trying to get through grief.
Wow. And there is no time limit on grief.
There is no time limit on
Because
grief.
I think sometimes we think, oh, well, it's a time limit on it and all of that.
Oh, yeah.
I don't believe there's a time limit.
It's not. There's no time limit on grief.
Well, in conclusion, it's hard to believe that time is coming up, but in conclusion, what would you say to someone? One, let's talk about those who have not gone to college but want to go to college. Those who need to get the master's degree. Let's give
The Fellows for Justice program.
yes.
Okay. So real quickly, I just want to say that if you are doing something in your community, if you are working with a nonprofit organization, doing volunteer work, or fighting for any injustice, it could be women's rights, men's rights, it could be the handicap, any rights that are out there that you're working for. If you would like an opportunity to apply for the scholarship program that we have at Strayer University, it's called the Fellows for Justice Scholarship. You can get a full ride, bachelor's or master's. So you can find more information at strayer.edu, or you can contact us here at Juniper Level and we'll send you on the right path.
Amen. And that's 919-779-6401. That's right. We want to make sure. I think that's the number. But, anyway, just reach out to Juniper Level. But you had to give advice to a mother or father who's gone through what you've gone through. What advice would you give them tonight?
I would just say, be proud to know that the loved one that you lost, the moments that you all had together, cannot be compared to anything else. It can never be replaced. That's yours and theirs forever. Always think about that. It's okay to cry sometimes, but ultimately, please talk to someone if you're ever feeling like you just can't make it through. So there is a way out. You just got to go through the process.
And then lastly, I would say you probably never would have written this script of this is how your life was going to be. No. What would you say to someone that you may have thought this, but it turns out to be that? What would be your last things that you would say to them?
Wow. Well,
this might be sequel. We might have to do part two.
Part two to that one. Yeah, I mean, right now, what I would say to that is, all of our paths are different. We all have different paths, and we don't know what to expect always. But if you read your word, if you talk to your pastor, if you get into a group where you're always in the word, you know what I'm saying? God will guide you. He will show you the way through your situation. We didn't think it was going to turn out this way in a million years, but you'll be better when you come out on the other side. It's always a lesson in every tragedy.
Always a lesson.
Always.
In every tragedy. Mm-hmm. Wow. Man, this has been real. It's hard to believe that our time has been spent. Yeah. But man, this has been great. Part two is coming.
Part two.
About the Tausha 2.0 who's downloading. and we'll be able to talk about that. It's been real. I thoroughly enjoyed being with you all tonight. We've had Tausha with us tonight. I'll see you next time. To God be the glory.